Good Friday morning. Here is Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is the 15th of December. A quiet day on the US market yesterday, but we still jumped a little bit higher on S&P 500, forming this doji candle here. Market opened and closed more or less at the same price level after a little bit intraday volatility. What it will be interesting is how will it end today? If we end with a negative candle today, well, then we have a top and reversal pattern in place, and we will face a correction. On the Nasdaq 100, not exactly the same, but still we ended a little bit lower after taking out the 200% of this little correction here at 16,637, and then we spiked a little bit higher. Also here, I think we will see a little bit of a correction over the next couple of days. But again, let's see where we end the week, and let's see where we end the day. So that's the key focus I will be looking at on the U.S. markets tonight. On the European markets, where we have seen extremely stretched uptrend lately, we also had this doji-like candle here, where a lot of volatility intraday. But we didn't get anywhere at the end of the day. A little bit higher this morning, so let's see where we end Friday also. That could be interesting next couple of days going. But again, keep an eye on where we will close today. If we do close below the 4,500, 4,520 and below the lower rising trend line here, then we could see a correction lower towards 4,400 on the EUROSTOXX. On the DAX index, massive negative candle yesterday. Actually, this is a bearish engulfing, taking out these three candles here. That is a sign of a top and reversal. I think we will see a correction lower down to around this area. I'm not quite sure we'll get all the way down to 16,000, but let's see. There is some support at 16,528 here on DAX, so that's the key level to look out for short term. We are still trading above here. We have the GR40 CFD. We're still trading above the 16,730 on the CFD, and the CFD yesterday closed just well above, but it did peak below. So look out for a break, and look out for a break lower. Amsterdam index failed to close above the 795 previous peak, and now we are having another go this morning. Let's see where we end today. Today could be key again. If we do end below and even take out yesterday's trading, well, then we have a top and reversal pattern in place. So that will be quite key going into the Christmas holiday period. The Belgian market closed. I mean, it was a negative candle, but we still closed a little bit of on a positive note above the 37.28. There's room up to 38.23, but I'm not quite sure we'll get there in the first take. I think we'll see a little bit of a setback there too. We have the CAC 40. Despite starting the day yesterday very on a positive note, it sold out through the session more or less. So again, keep an eye on where we end later today. That will be key. SMI 20 was above 11,245, but also closed below. And if we also break below this trend line here, it's not the best one. I would actually say don't put too much attention to it. But still, this seems like we have sellers taking back control, and we could see a move towards the 200 moving average towards the 11,000. Whether we will get all the way down to 11,000, it's hard to say at the moment. But I think we'll see at least a minor correction down to around this area here, just above 11,000, and testing the 200 moving average. Euro-dollar continued its uptrend yesterday. But was rejected at the 110 strong resistance area. You can see here a few weeks ago where it also got rejected, now got rejected again. I think we will have a little bit of a setback here, possibly down to maybe just above 109. I don't think all the way down. And then we'll have another go. I believe we'll have another go. And then we'll have a break to 111.30, which is the 138.2 projection of this correction here. If we do break back below the 107.30, well, then this bullish picture is demolished. But as you can see here, you have the 55 moving average coming up. You have the 100 that is slightly rising, turning around here. You have the 200 also rising, and the 121 also rising. So the underlying sentiment and trend is bullish. Also supported by the bullish RSI that is currently above 60, or back above 60, broke back with 60 here yesterday. So I think we will see a move higher. There's no divergence on this peak value here compared to this one. So we should see a higher value on the euro dollar, higher move on the euro dollar. Cable, on the other hand, did close yesterday above its key resistance at 127.45. Little bit of setback today, but RSI in bullish mode and bullish sentiment, and there's a little bit of divergence actually. We have this peak here value yesterday a little bit lower than this one, so there is some divergence, but I do believe we'll see a move up to around the 129, which is both the 786 of the entire downtrend here, and it's also 176.4 projection of this correction here. So in that region around 129, we should see cable here going into next week. Dollar yen, still the sellers are trying to push once again below the 141.70, 75 support level. Around this level, you will see also here back in spiked a little bit, so I adjusted it, but I said, okay, this was the closing price, this was the open price, but you can also argue that this is the support, but it is around these levels here really. If it can stay above and close above the support, we could see a minor correction higher towards 140.44, 70, 75, but I'm not quite sure we'll get all the way up there, at least not at first take. So let's see, do we actually have some divergence building up here? Maybe a little bit. Let's see here. Well, not really, no. So the downside or downwards pressure is still on, and we have a lower lows, lower high, lower low. So we are still in a downtrend, and we could push lower. Euro yen, a little bit of a limbo after being supported by the 200 moving average, hovering around 155.5 level here, and I think that's the level between 157.70 and 153. And a change you will see here in going into next week towards the end of the year. And I actually also think we will stay above the 200 moving average. These are the levels that you should look out for on the euro yen. The Aussie yen bounced off the rising trend line here. Third time actually it bounced off. After it dipped below, dipped a little bit below, so it is still holding on this rising trend line here, and we could see a move in Aussie yen up to around 96.10. If it does break above 96.10 and we have a close above here, well, then we will see likely to see Aussie yen resuming uptrend. We talked about dollar Swiss yesterday. And yesterday it actually did close below the 86.90 support level, and we could see dollar Swiss move towards the 86 and 85.50, 55. The lows back from July here, they are really in the cards. What is interesting though is that despite we have confirmed the downtrend, the RSI is not really supporting it that much. There is some divergence. We see that the value here was lower than here currently, but there is some downwards pressure, and we could see a spike lower to around 85.50. Finally, the dollar index back below the falling trend line there, and below the 61.8 retracement at 102.21, very close to be testing the 101.62 support level. I think we will see that being tested, and if it's broken, well, then we are moving towards the 190 spot 90, which is the 786 retracement of the entire uptrend here. So some really interesting levels to look out for on the dollar index. Gold is still trying to get to move higher after being rejected at the trend line here. Don't put too much weight into it. I mean, we had a kind of a false breakout and bounce back up here. Look out for the RSI to close back above 60. If it does, which I believe it will, then we will have a move up to around 2070, potentially higher towards 2100. To demolish this, then we are looking at a break below 1973. Silver also a massive move over the past couple of days, taking a little bit easy to begin with this Friday. It has retraced about 50% of this sell-off here. If we can get RSI back above 60, and that probably requires that the silver is trading towards the 2460 with the 61.8 retracement at this level, which I believe we will see, but it will not be bearish stock. However, we have the moving averages coming up here, all of them now rising, supporting the underlying bullish mode. Platinum, we haven't talked much about it, but I did send out analysis on it a couple of days ago. Check out that one. I said if we are closing above 952.30, well, then we are in a bullish trend and we have the RSI back above 60, and there's room up to 990, 1,000, potentially higher if it can break this strong resistance area around 1,000. Finally, I also want to touch a little bit on palladium, because palladium, that has been very depressed for a very long time, is now on the move. It is now in bullish sentiment, broken short-term falling trend line, broken longer-term, medium to longer-term falling trend line. If it can break also 1168, well, then we are back above the cloud, and there is room up to 1300. So look out for these levels there. Expect a little bit of a setback before moving higher. Copper resuming uptrends. Likely to test 400, I believe, in a few days, probably next week. So it could be very strong for the metals. Indeed, we have on the energy side, we have WTI very close to be testing the 72.65 resistance. It's not the strongest one. I actually believe we will see a move up to test the upper falling trend line here. Also on Brent, actually did test the resistance at 77.25 yesterday. I think we'll have another go today, and going into next week, I think we will have a test of the upper falling trend line, possibly around the $80 level. Finally, on the US 10-year Treasury, that did close below 395. And the next support is around 383. Around that level, we could see a move down, possibly an exhaustive move short term. We can see here that this is the actual Treasury future. There's resistance at 113.832. And it's a fairly strong one, I believe. It was before just, around this consolidation area here. So that's quite key to look out for. All right, that's all for today and also for this week. Have a nice weekend and happy trading.